Welcome to Remembering Your Oneness with Xane Daniel and Monika Kupiec, where we know everything, and so do you. Yay!
Oh, are we praying right now?
No, we are being thankful right now. This is the thankful. Thank you. I honor you. You're beautiful. You're wonderful. You're perfect. You should love yourself unconditionally because I love you unconditionally. Symbol.
So many things to do this for.
To communicate that. Yes, that's very important. Like I now do that to everybody. When I say goodbye to someone, I pretty much do this, like the little nod too. And it's kind of fun to do it to people who, certainly I do it to people who are in this space that are into the spirituality and into the, wonderful self-improvement and all that stuff. But sometimes I do it. Oh, and if anybody's listening to this, oh yeah, you said prayer hands, so they probably understand what we're talking about. But when I do this to people who are not in this space, they just look at me like, are you, a Tibetan monk? Like what, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? But I do it anyway.
That's good. Do you just send them like a I love you unconditionally little vibe, little energy zap?
Yeah, well, I actually have a T-shirt on my website that you can buy that says "I love you unconditionally" on it, and I've activated it using one of my activations, so that anybody who sees the symbol "I love you unconditionally," then they should receive the activation that was in the video today that I released.
Nice. So you want to talk about your video? Because I actually didn't get to watch it.
Oh my gosh. That's okay. And I actually, it's funny because it works out perfectly, because had you watched it, I wouldn't be able to do this little exercise that we're going to do today, which is super cool.
My intuition was right with don't click on it.
Yeah, exactly. Don't click on it. I shouldn't do that. I didn't warn you or anything, and you didn't watch it, which is great. Okay. So, well, really, all I want to do is have you say out loud the sentence, "I love myself unconditionally."
I love myself unconditionally.
Okay. And how does it feel to say that? How did it feel to you to say that?
It felt good. It felt like little tingles on my forearms.
Okay,
and then
good.
A little bit in my chest area.
Okay, great. And so why do you think that was such a positive response? Like, have you done something? Have you worked specifically on that sentence?
Not on the sentence specifically, but definitely on self-love and worthiness. I've done a lot of healings and clearings on. So I guess like just saying that sentence just reaffirmed like, yes, I do love myself unconditionally, or there is a strong meaning to this sentence.
Right.
Phrase.
Good. So yeah, and what's interesting is that what you're doing there, you're mostly tapping into your left brain when you say the sentence out loud, because the left brain, the logical side, is the one that you communicate to with language. Like, you can actually speak to your left brain, but your right brain is the emotional side, and it kind of doesn't care what language you use. It's not really going to give you the same response. And so when I was kind of bending down there while you said it, I was checking your right brain. And your right brain, now what normally happens is that if your right brain doesn't agree with the statement, then you're going to do things in your life that will sabotage yourself based on that belief system. So if you don't believe that you can be or should be or you should love yourself unconditionally, then when decisions come around, you might make a type of decision that would represent that truth. I don't actually love myself unconditionally. And then you'll go down a path that is not as fruitful or as thriving or as, useful or helpful or whatever. So that's what's the purpose of checking the right brain, is to see where you stand on that. And yours was not like super strong, but it wasn't bad either. Like a lot of times when I do that for people, it comes out really weak, because even if they say, yeah, I feel that I do, usually the right brain doesn't agree. So And
Interesting.
so Julie just said that it didn't feel authentic. So, so that means that for her, not only is is that true for probably her right brain, which I can check in a second, but also for her left brain, because her left brain is saying, I don't believe what I just said. Right. So now we've got somebody who has to balance both the right and the left hemispheres of the brain with regard to that statement. So let me just check for Julie, see if her right brain loves herself unconditionally. And no, of course, that comes out very weak. So okay. So then if what we can do now is a little exercise that will change your right brain. Now, there's a couple of different ones. And so what I did for the video, and I even explained it in the video, this won't work for absolutely everyone. Different people require a different approach, but the one that I did for the video probably works on the majority of people. But then there are some that will have to, if they really want to work on that sentence with me, they can come to me and we can do a session and we can really specifically target. So what I'm going to do right now is check to see which method is the best for you. Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay, so you've got the unusual one.
Yay!
Yeah, right. And so now
You're gonna like send me a cup of ayahuasca now.
right. No, I'm gonna walk you through yours, but unfortunately, I mean, people could try to follow along, but this is very specific for you. So it probably won't work for them. So if they want the majority one, they should watch the video that I just released this morning, and otherwise they get to like watch this happen. So
Ooh, let me go grab my box of tissues.
no, you actually just need some room. You just need a little bit of room in front of you because we're going to actually do some physical stuff.
Oh
So,
man.
yeah. So hold on a second. Let me check to see. Let me
Hang
check to
tight,
see.
everybody.
Okay. All right. So hold on a second here. Can go. Okay. So what I want you to do right now is you're going to cross your left ankle over your right ankle.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, now put your arm straight out in front of you like you're a mummy or a zombie or something. And you're going to put your left wrist over your right wrist. Okay. And
Left
then
over right again?
Yep, left over right again. This is the part that's different for everyone. So then you're going to interlace your fingers with your thumbs on the bottom. And then now you can either rest this on your lap or you can curl it up underneath, whichever's most comfortable for you.
Does the thumb matter which one's over which?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay. So what we're doing here is because we're trying to balance the right and the left hemispheres of the brain, that your right brain controls your left half of your body and your left brain controls the right half of your body. So the reason this is working is because you're doing this in that way. You're crossing all this stuff over to get the two sides of the brain to agree on the statement. So now what you will do, don't do it yet, is you will close your eyes and then you're going to repeat the statement, I love myself unconditionally, over and over and over again until you feel some sort of physical or mental or emotional or energetic shift or change. So it's up to you. You'll know it when you feel it. And I don't really even want to give you any examples because it'll be different depending on, you. So
Okay.
and so once you've felt that, then you just tell me that you have.
Do I say it out loud or do I say it?
You can say it silently to yourself. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So go ahead. What do you want?
I don't know. Okay. It's like your little awaken thing.
Yeah, no, I'm
It
not
makes
gonna.
me
Don't
laugh.
worry, I'm not gonna like scare you.
I'm like waiting for something to like for you to scream out. And like that's the sensation you're
There
gonna
it is. No,
You're making me nervous.
no.
Okay.
No reason to be nervous. This is actually a method called Psych K. So
Okay.
it is
Okay.
a
I'm
it
just
is
calm myself down a little bit.
yeah. Calm yourself down.
As I'm crossing my arms and crossing my legs.
Closing your eyes and
Okay.
saying this statement, I love myself unconditionally. So for anyone that's just tuning in, Monika is repeating, I love myself unconditionally, silently in her head until she feels an energetic shift or change.
I'm getting that I should say it out loud. So should I just say it out loud?
Sure.
Okay. I love myself unconditionally. I love myself unconditionally. I love myself unconditionally. I love myself unconditionally. I do feel something in my chest, like warmth, and then like my forehead feels like it's like lifting up, like kind of like a puppet being like lifted up.
Good. I was actually detecting that you'd already experienced it. So
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was in the beginning, but I
Yep.
wasn't sure. Am I waiting for more, or is that it?
Oh, no, you're good now. So go ahead and
Oh.
let go of everything, untangle yourself. And now what you're going to do is you're going to create like a little ball with your fingertips and then put this kind of like at your stomach level
Okay.
and look through the ball for about 10 seconds. Now here's where I would do one of my normal activations. Would you like that as like an extra boost?
Sure.
Okay. So you know how they work. So with you looking through the ball, breath in. Oh, good. That was pretty strong. Okay. So now go ahead and say, I love myself unconditionally out loud. You can let go of your fingertips things.
I love myself unconditionally.
All right. How'd that feel?
Better.
Yeah. Awesome. Right brain agrees. High five.
Yay.
All right.
So when I looked through the ball, if anyone's wondering, I felt, or when you said, I think you said awaken, or was it before that? But maybe when you said awaken, it felt like there was this like shadow or like dark little thing just like slowly coming down, kind of like when rain like drips down like a wall or something, like you could see it, like the slime coming down. So it kind of felt like something was like releasing and through the sphere.
Nice. Excellent.
Yeah. But I wasn't sure if I was, because you were like, oh, you're gonna feel something, remarkable. So I was like waiting for something
Oh, right. Yeah, it can be subtle, and I should have explained that to you. Yeah.
I was like, I kind of felt it after like maybe 3 times or so. It was like a big lift from my crown, and then like I could feel like this warm sensation on my chest, because that's like where my hands were, so I could like feel it like expanding. So maybe that was like my unconditional love like expanding.
Nice. Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty cool, because I did check after a few seconds, because I was thinking, okay, our audience is going to be tuning in and seeing us just like sitting here. So I'm like, oh, I wonder if she's done. And I got that you were, but I also then went, I don't really want to interrupt her either. So I wanted you to have the full experience. So
yeah, because I was like thinking, like, is this gonna last like 20 minutes or so? Like, how long is it gonna take me to love myself unconditionally? Like, we could be here all day.
Right. Yeah, usually it would only take like 20 minutes. I mean 20 minutes. 3 minutes. Like 3 minutes max is usually what it takes. A lot of times, like you said, you felt it after 3 times. So that whole like balancing of the right and left hemispheres is pretty powerful.
Yeah, no, that was really, I've never heard of anything like that before. So it was definitely felt like a little Reiki type of thing, just to give someone perspective if they know more about Reiki.
Yeah,
but
right.
I mean, Reiki is all like energy stuff, so that clearly you're doing energy voodoo.
Right. Yeah. And I don't usually do that method, only if it calls for it. And so different people require different things. So like I said, I have to check to see whether you're going to need or not. And there's actually another type of Psyche that some people need. And I'm so glad that you didn't need that one, because you would have had to stand up and touch your knees and do all this crazy stuff and have your arms straight out. It just goes on and on and on. So I'm really glad that wasn't the one you required. Although it could have been fun to watch.
I'm up for anything. I'm your test. What do we say? I'm your test
subject.
subject.
Yeah, yeah. You said you were my test dummy, and I didn't think that was true.
Before when we started, I told him that I was going to be his test dummy, but he didn't like the word dummy, so we thought of test subject.
I don't mind the word
And if
dummy, but I
anyone
didn't
else maybe
apply it
felt
to
an
you.
energy shift during my whole thing, maybe you want to drop a comment down below. And I guess we're on the topic of unconditional love. So, another form of unconditional love that I like to practice is walking in nature, taking long walks or even just like a short walk along the beach, something that I can just really feel my energy become more grounded. Um, and I feel like that's when I feel most.
Okay, so we lost her, huh? I wondered about this. Okay, there she is. Wonder what that was all about.
Yeah, you did a huge energy shift on me.
All right. Yeah, I wonder how that looked for everybody else, because you got quiet, you got frozen for a second, and then I think
Oh,
you
you
couldn't hear
froze for
me.
me. You
Okay,
froze
right,
for me. Oh,
right, yeah. Okay, well, I switched to my other internet solution, so we'll see if that fixes it.
okay.
So anyway, you were starting to say something that seemed very interesting, but
Oh, I was talking about unconditional love. The way that I practice it is I walk in nature or I go into nature.
Mhm.
And that's when I feel most grounded and most like myself. So usually when I feel a bit misaligned or like when I feel a little bit sadder, I'll try to go outside, even like for a bike ride, because I live like on the coast, so there's like a bike path that goes through like most of the beaches. So that is like really energizing for me. But actually, yesterday I had like a big wave of energy, and I felt that unconditional love for myself. I don't think I called it unconditional love. I just called it love energy. I even made a full moon meditation about love energy activation. So it's pretty cool that we're synced up with your unconditional love thing, and then I did a love thing too.
I know it is great. Like just like last week and the week before
Mhm.
that, yeah, we're very synchronized now. It's pretty awesome.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Our souls are meant to be here.
our souls have collided.
They're like, uh oh.
Yeah, I can't get away from this one.
It's like one of those like flies. But
Marika's.
yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
but yeah, I'm just saying that like the whole love thing, there was definitely a big energy shift yesterday. I felt once again like the whole retrograde thing just finished, and I was
Yeah,
like waiting for something to happen, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy, this energy, and I like finished like one of my paintings, started like two other ones, so I definitely had like a wave of like creative love energy, which is
nice.
sick.
That's awesome. Okay, so Marinka said that she started saying it out loud from the very beginning, which is great. And so it lasted for a little while, and then eventually she could hear the difference in her voice. So that's kind of cool
Mm.
because you could feel the transition come from that.
Mhm.
I usually don't have people do that, but I think that's a great idea.
I definitely felt it in my voice too when I first said it, and then when I said it again at the end. So there's definitely power to all of that for sure.
Nice.
Yeah. So what else?
222 portal month of love, right?
Oh, I saw 222 yesterday. So
Nice.
definitely agree with that one for sure. Are you seeing any synchronized numbers lately?
Um, yeah, I actually have been, and which is kind of unusual. Like I went through a period where I really wasn't seeing them, and I kind of had a shift not too long ago, and then as soon as I had that shift, I started seeing them more. So
Mm.
it's kind of like verification.
What
Uh,
kind of shift did you have?
well, I've been wrestling with my kind of like my program, my detached program, and figuring out how to help people and trying to I've been trying to change some things. Like I added the free workshop, and I've just been trying to bring in more people so that they can have relief, and also have it so that I'm not like struggling every 2 months. So I'm like trying to get it balanced so I can help more and make more. and so I was having a little bit of an issue with kind of the method that I was choosing. And so I had a shift on, nope, purpose is most important. Now we'll be good. And then bang, I really felt it. And then, like I said, I started seeing the numbers.
I told you before we started that I was reading my ayahuasca journal when I did it 2 years ago. And one of the things that the shamans told me is that when you start to see synchronicities is to keep it to yourself so they keep flowing. So don't like go brag about it to people like, oh, like guess what happened to me? Because it kind of like stops the flow. So I thought it was very interesting and like I guess important too to like when you see those things like really take in check of like what it is that you're feeling in this moment, or like what word comes up when you see this like synchronicity, or what type of feeling, because usually that's something that you should work on, or like what you hold true about it, because it's really easy to like go and look up the numbers like, oh, what does 222 mean, what does 333 mean?
Sure. Right.
But I feel like that also loses its essence for yourself, because your intuition is trying to talk to you when you see these synchronicities or these like, consistent numbers in your life. It's like she's kind of like cheering you on, like, come on, we're getting there.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep throwing these numbers at you so that way you're more aware that like of your surroundings, essentially, because you don't always look at your phone to look at the time, but then like when you see like now it's like 10:22, so it's also another like a nice little number. So like it just helps you to become more self-aware.
Yeah, if it gives you a reminder to remember that you are source, that you are one, or whatever, then yeah, that's a fantastic thing. Because in my class, I often have people go set their alarms to go off every hour during source week, where they're trying to remember that they are source. And so that's kind of annoying because it interrupts everything that you're doing. But at the same time, it's kind of amazing because it also interrupts things that you're doing where you're acting not as source, right? Where you are being your very limited 3D self. And then the alarm goes off and you're like, oh, right. What am I doing? Okay, right. I'm source. Like, this is silliness. So that's what I do like about it. But if you can do that with numbers and number reminders, even better, because then you're not really interrupting yourself. When you have a moment to look at the time, then that means you have a moment to remember that you're source too.
Yeah. I also feel like that reminder is good though, because it helps just train your mind to just get out of like say maybe you were stuck doing like a project and you were just going and going and going without even taking a break or taking a sip of water. But then you hear that alarm go off that's going to tell you like, I love to label my alarms. Like actually a lot of them are like, I love me, or like love surrounds me, or just like I am whole, or just whatever. And it's like when I see that, it's like, oh yeah, I do. So it's like
Right.
it helps train your mind and like helps raise your vibration to just like relabeling your alarms.
Yeah. Well, it's cool because Christina, who's in the chat right now, she was in my class, and she ended up putting like Post-it notes all over the place during Source Week, where she's like, I am source, I am source, I am source. So every time she would go to the bathroom, or anytime she, got something out of the fridge, then she would be reminded of that, which I thought was like a clever way to do it too. So yeah, it's important. Because we just get so wrapped up in our limited 3D programming. Like we just go, oh, I've got to do this and I got to do that. No, I'm not going to get that done, or whatever. Or I feel this lower vibrational experience right now, and oh, how am I ever going to get out of it? And you just got to snap yourself out of it sometimes.
For sure, I agree.
Hi Pam and hi Sue, thanks for joining us.
Hello everyone else that hasn't said hi to us.
Yeah, exactly, everybody. So I was going to tell you that I'm very happy because right now I am clean. I took a shower yesterday. And this shouldn't be something you get all excited about, right? Because most human beings in our first world society has a very easy access. They can just go take a shower whenever they want to. But here I am doing the van life thing, where I'm in this cool van that I can travel around the country and the continent. And the problem is that I did not install a shower in it. I never thought I would need to, because I also have a Planet Fitness membership. And so I could just go to Planet Fitness. And it was another
Mhm.
reminder to like, hey, like I need to take a shower. Oh, I should work out. And so I would work out,
Oh,
and then I would take my shower. It was like really nice and convenient. And but now, because of COVID, still, even though Planet Fitness is open, their showers are closed.
oh,
And
no way.
yeah, almost every place's showers are closed. And it's very, on one hand, it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense at all, because if you're supposed to wash your hands for 3 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever the freaking
Mhm.
time is. And so if you're taking a shower, then you're washing all the COVID off of you. So you shouldn't have any problem. But the only thing I can think of is that they're like, well, yeah, but you're not wearing a mask. So I know it doesn't make sense. I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't get it. So anyway, now I have to go to truck stops to take showers. And
Oh,
that wasn't a problem before. I mean, I would do it every once in a while, but they've raised the price of showers now. And I think it's
oh
because they
no.
have to like do so much cleaning
Sanitize.
work afterwards. And so
Mm.
now it's $15 every time I want to take a shower. So that is why it's like,
Wow.
I had a shower yesterday. This is great. I am so happy.
You
I mean,
should
yeah,
you should, like go to California where they have, like, the beach showers, so
yeah, right. Yeah, I guess I'll have to do that. But anyway, uh, I still spot wash and such, but yeah, a shower is an amazing thing now.
So it's made you realize more about unconditional love? Is that the linkage to the story?
Not a very good linkage that I can think of at the moment. I guess I can unconditionally love showers. I and so as a result of not having that very normal convenience, then all of a sudden I really appreciate that convenience way
Mhm.
more than I would have otherwise. And when I stayed at the Airbnb for 2.5 months, it was so amazing. I could just like, as soon as we were done talking, I could just get up and go take a shower. Like, wow, that's so incredible.
Mhm.
So, sometimes you need that sort of thing to appreciate the luxuries that we actually have, and we don't consider them luxuries because we're just so used to them.
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah, if
definitely.
everybody could have the freshest fruit from Hawaii every single day, then they would be like, yeah, right, whatever, I'm just having fresh fruit from a beautiful tropical place. I have that every day. But
Mhm.
then when they actually go to Hawaii this way, now they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, I can't believe these I've never had mangoes that tasted so good, and it's dripping down your face. And right.
Sticking in between your teeth.
Right. Yes. Let's see.
But also, like, I mean, like, those things are more like choices too, like, you chose to be in this area that provides these things for you. 'Cause, you could just choose to go live in, like, a go volunteer in a third world country and then,
Right.
experience that type of life too, but there's a reason why your soul is here and experiencing these so-called luxuries. I think it's also just to learn to detach from them, that, you have this, but you could be grateful and thankful, but also there's something more that you need to learn because you're at this level per se, that because you have this, there's something more that you can do without having to worry about this one situation of, say, taking a shower or, eating fruit off of the off of a tree. So
Right.
it's like your soul has a different mission to accomplish. And say that if you are in a third world country, then, it was something that your soul signed up for that you have to learn. So you're
Yeah.
learning to live with little and you're actually happy because most of those people there are like beyond happy. I know when I was in Costa Rica, like everybody was happy there, super like giving and like loving. But then you go to, like, the United some of the places in the United States where people are grouchy and greedy and they have
Right.
everything, but then they're living like that. So it's almost like less is more, but
Yeah.
also like, don't brag about it. Same thing with, like, the coincidence that, or the synchronicities that I was saying, like, don't brag that you're seeing these synchronicities, or else like the flow of it will be gone. It's the same with when you're bragging about, like, oh, look at this fruit that I'm eating right now that's from my backyard. Like, then like maybe something will happen to my tree, or like maybe like a storm will come and like knock off the tree.
Oh, no, I don't think that's
No?
true. No, I definitely don't. And you know, when I was going through my transformation, and I went from, you know, science-based believer, capitalist, you know, living the American dream, and then started to reveal my gifts and reveal all that stuff. I was having an absolute blast, like, because it seemed like every day I was doing something brand new that I'd never done before. I was doing, you know, helping people with doing sessions for people, and I was just experimenting because they were people that I knew, you know. I'm like, well, let me try this, you know, and it was amazing, the amazing things that were happening. And then I would get all excited about it, and I would tell people who were my close friends who wanted to know that sort of thing. And you know, we just got excited about it together, and it seemed like it just continued to improve and improve and improve. Like, I got more and more gifts, or revealing of the gifts, and just more and more wonderful things happen. So I don't want to scare anybody to think, oh, you can't talk about it, because I think that when you show excitement, okay, so maybe if you're truly bragging so that you receive positive feedback, or approval from someone. Look at me, I'm doing this amazing, I've had this amazing synchronicity. Isn't that great? You know, then okay,
Yeah.
right, like, you're not in the right place when you're doing that. You're begging for something. But I think if you're sharing with true loving enthusiasm, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yes, it's definitely the attitude and the way you project it. That definitely ties into the whole loop of what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And I also love the way that you say synchronicities.
Synchronicities?
Yeah, synchronicities. I've never heard anyone say it like that. But I love it. It's great. Is anybody else in the chat say synchronicities? Let me know. And how would we spell that? Like, that would be different. There'd be like an O sound. I love it.
But there is an O in synchronicity, isn't there?
Synchronicity. There is, but it's synchronicity. Synchronicity. There's an I on between the N and the C. There is an O though. Yeah.
I heard once that people from Chicago, because I'm from Chicago, we say our O's like A's, so maybe that's how that came about.
Right.
So.
Yes, I lived in Chicago for 22 years, but I'm not from Chicago. So I don't think I developed the accent because I didn't hang out with any true Chicagoans.
Or just, you know, grown up by, gone to school.
Like born Chicagoans, right? Yeah. Okay, so Nate wants us to check here. Let's see. Okay, Nate. Yeah, right brain does not agree with the statement for Nate. Sorry, Nate. So now what I would say, if you haven't already checked out my video, try that, see how it goes. And then let me know. And then we can do a one-on-one session if you'd like. And then Eduardo's in the house. Thank you, Eduardo, for the $5 super chat. Welcome. Wow. Here's a location we haven't seen before.
Ooh, Palestine. Welcome.
Yeah. Welcome. Ibrahim. Ibrahim. That's an awesome name too. Welcome, Ibrahim. Oh, I embarrassed you. Sorry. I thought it was fun. I love the way everybody speaks. Like, I don't pass judgment on any of that. I think that it's great, because when people say
Pamela's
right, when people say things wrong, usually there's some great reason for it, and it's fun.
I mean, I don't take offended that you said that about me. So
Okay, good.
I think it's pretty hard to offend me because I'll probably just try to offend you back.
All right. Yeah, and it's pretty hard to offend me, so we'd be doing this the whole time.
Yeah, it would just be like a funny comedian type of knick-knack that we're doing.
Right.
But we won't go there because we're talking about loving ourselves unconditionally today.
Right. And if we're making fun of each other, then that puts us further and further away
Like
from
we might confuse our right brain that
That's right. Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of fun because like one of the realizations that I had when I was working with people to help them love themselves unconditionally, I realized that, wait a minute, okay, so what is unconditional love? Unconditional love is love without judgment. And that's actually a quote from the Dalai Lama, by the way. But unconditional love is love without judgment, and unconditional love is love without conditions, right? Like, that's what unconditional love is. So when you go to look at yourself and say, oh, I don't, I have a loud and annoying laugh, so I don't love myself. I annoy people, or I upset people very easily, or I don't make the right decisions, or whatever these thoughts are, this bar that you've set yourself, that you're trying to get to. The thing is, unconditional love, unconditional means you love yourself anyway. So I have an loud, annoying laugh. I love myself anyway. I make mistakes. I love myself anyway. I upset people. I love myself anyway. Oh, I ran over a squirrel with my car. Well, I love myself anyway, right? Like, so in a way, loving yourself anyway is easier because you don't have to live up to anything. You don't have to live up to any weird bar that you've set for yourself in your striving for perfection. And we were born thinking that we needed to be perfect. Our parents wanted us to be perfect. Our teachers wanted us to be perfect. Our bosses have wanted us to be perfect. So we are constantly in this state of striving for perfection. And perfection, of course, can never be reached because it doesn't exist anywhere in the universe. Perfection without flaws, that is. So now you really set yourself up for an impossible task. And that's why unconditional love, I think, is fantastic, because it means, yeah, I really don't like myself when it comes to all this other stuff, but I actually love myself anyway.
Mm-hmm. And I think that, it's okay to like feel sad, or Pamela just said if I killed a squirrel, I'd be upset. Like those are obviously normal.
Yeah.
Those are normal, feelings and emotions. He's not saying to cover everything up with love, but it's more of like, yeah, something traumatic can happen to you, but you're still okay, and to love yourself from within. And I think that's the more important part, where you can go past this traumatic event, or maybe you did do something, terrible, like maybe you killed someone, or, you did something. You can still love yourself unconditionally once you get past that, like, trauma.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So Pamela, still be heartbroken. Okay. Yes. But can you still love yourself, Pamela? I think you can, because yeah, you can feel all those things. Like she said, like Monika said, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, do you remain in that lower vibrational state forever? Or would you eventually get out of it? Because yeah, life does go on, and that squirrel signed a contract before it was born to run out into the street for you to run it over, so that it could have that experience and you could learn from that experience as well. And she says, oh, yes.
So what are ways that you love yourself unconditionally, or help you, aside from, doing activations? Is there something that really elevates you to like your essence?
Are you asking me specifically?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I got distracted reading comments. There's lots of comments today, so it's very easy to get distracted. Can you repeat your full question so I make sure I'm zeroed in?
Sure. Now that I have your full attention. Because I mentioned that I go to nature to feel like more of my essence and more unconditional love. Is there something that you do that helps you feel more loving to yourself?
Well, okay. So the thing that makes me happiest is when I get to do things where I'm actually helping others. So any opportunity I get when I'm helping others, I am in the highest happiness I could possibly be. And so I suppose I'm loving myself in that condition because I'm doing this thing for someone else. The other thing that I do that where I really love myself is I work on my projects, whatever my favorite project is at that moment. If I'm into it, oh my gosh, I love me and being in it. So like we just started working on chapter 19. He started drawing chapter 19 of the comic book Righteous. And it's just like, wow, we've been doing this for almost 5 years, making this comic book, and he's just started on chapter 19. And I was just like having a blast today, getting chapter 19 all ready for him to start drawing. So yeah, so those are the types of things, like just my passions. Then it's easy to be in that state of unconditional love, and it's easy to love myself in those states.
Nice.
That's how I would answer it. It's a good question.
So if anyone else wants to reflect on that question, what do you do to love yourself even more? Or what are things that really raise your vibration to feel the love within you?
Brandy asked a question. I'm going to check for her here. She's starting from the beginning, so that means that she might not hear this until after it's all done. But I feel like it was kind of thinking, yeah, can you tell me this? Okay. Yeah, I'm getting that they agree. I'm getting that she loves herself unconditionally. Yep. Yay, Brandy. And that is fairly unusual, but it sounds like, well, first of all, I know that I've actually worked with Brandy before, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if we did an unconditional love activation, and then she may have done it again. So now, okay, so that's the other thing that can happen, right? Is that circumstances make this change. So now you've had the activation, you're feeling really good. I love myself unconditionally, right and left brain agree. And then you go out into the world and you run over a squirrel with your car or whatever. And maybe a couple of bad things happen. And then you kind of go back to your normal way of thinking. Totally normal. This happens all the time. It's the reason why when you go to an energy healer, sometimes the energy healing doesn't stick, because you go back to your normal thought process. You go back to being like, oh yeah, and then this, and I'm not very happy about that, and this is worrying me, or whatever. And then your energy, your mindset vibration lowers, which makes your energetic vibration lower, and pretty soon you're right back to where you were. So with these activations, and why I make a lot of them available on YouTube, and you can download them off my website and everything, is you can do them again, and it'll essentially restart that thing again. Like it'll get that going again. And the more that you do it, the more it becomes your default. And so eventually you could do the activation, all my activations, and go, it didn't do anything. And that's because you were at the level that you're supposed to be. So you don't have to keep doing them over and over again. So that I feel really good about that, because I hate it when, you have to keep going back to the same person because you haven't gotten what you needed yet. That doesn't work for me. Like my purpose is to empower people. I want you to be able to do all these amazing things yourself. And so I'm like your training wheels to get you to that point so that you can go forward on your own.
So because you have all these activations on your website, is there like a clue to someone to pick the right one? Like, is there like an indication that that would help someone pick one, for
Right.
example?
Yeah, I would say that if you don't know which one to pick, you pick the raise your vibration, just straight up raise your vibration activation. And I usually have the people that are joining my class do that like 3 times a week leading up to the actual class time, and then even during the class to continue to do it 3 times a week, because it just keeps raising you up and keeps raising you up. But the other kind of fun thing is I've got a whole bunch of the emotion activations on there. So when you're in the throes of a negative emotion and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so angry or frustrated or whatever, then you can just, watch that or do that activation, and it immediately eliminates the negative feeling from that. And then you can be like, clear-headed and think about what it was that caused that, and you can learn the lessons from it without being all bogged down by the emotional experience. So those are the main ones that are available on my website, is either the emotion ones or the negative entity removal, the raise your vibration. And so that's how I would do that. And then, the YouTube channel, there's all kinds of different ones. Like, so you just kind of got to go through. I just hit my 50th pre-recorded video today. So there's plenty of
Aw,
activations on
congratulations.
there. Thank you. There's lots of different stuff. So yeah, have fun.
It's awesome. So it really feels like you're living your soul purpose then, soul mission. You really feel aligned and you feel good about it all.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Because I really want to help our society move from the 3D to the 5D consciousness, the society, and all of that. And really, when I think about each of the things that I'm doing, each of them do that in a different way. So the comic book does that as a catalyst for awakening. But then, like the the class for removing negative entities brings you from people that are suffering from these entities. They're actually these amazing light workers who are suffering. And so
Mhm.
be able to help them get over that suffering so that they can live into their light working existence is incredibly rewarding.
I feel like you should have a hat that says, "I love myself unconditionally." So that way when people see it, you'll just help
Yeah,
them.
right. Well, I was going to do one of the masks, for that.
Oh. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's why I did the t-shirt, and then I ended up not doing the mask, and I don't know why. But you can do a t-shirt, you can buy a t-shirt,
Do you
or
wear
you
the
can make
t-shirt?
your
Do
own.
you have one?
I do have one, yes, and I've worn it, and it's been great because I wore it. I was in Las Vegas, and I was walking around Las Vegas, right, and everybody's got their drinks that they're walking around, and it was awesome because there were a lot of people that would be like, wow. I get all kinds of different responses, right? Like, some people would get it and they'd be like, wow, that is an awesome shirt. And other people would be like, oh, I see you're really high and mighty on yourself, aren't you? That kind of thing. So that was kind of fun too.
Yeah, that's sweet. It definitely attracts, like, the different I don't know, I feel like you had so much fun with that when you wear it. I feel
Oh
like
yeah.
you would I feel like you should wear it more to, like, a grocery store and just,
Oh
like
yeah. Yeah. I'm beaming the whole time. I'm just looking at people like, see my shirt? See my shirt?
you would be
This is
like
how I
be
feel.
a billboard. Should be a billboard on one of those, like, highways. I know in Illinois,
Yeah.
we had tons of billboards, so I could totally see your face with, like, "I love myself unconditionally."
That'd be so weird to put that on a billboard. Like, there's something different about seeing it like that than actually seeing me. I don't know. It almost feels
Would
like,
definitely target more people if you were on a billboard.
well, yeah, it's really interesting. Well, okay, what would people think if they saw a billboard with my face on it that said, "I love myself unconditionally"? You'd be just like, "What in the heck? Who is that guy? why? Why does it matter?"
But it
Wow.
would stop and make them think, and they'll be like, "Do I love myself unconditionally?" Or, like, it would definitely, like, hit them on some sorta level, so I feel like it'd be
Some
pretty cool.
sort of level. I I think that some people would really like it, right? And other people would be super confused, like, what in the heck is this? And they wouldn't apply it to themselves. They'd just be like, oh, this guy is really high and mighty on himself. I don't know.
You're okay. Nate has a interesting question.
Okay, let's put it up here. Speaking on unconditional love, how can I unconditionally love others that inflict pain and are generally toxic? All right. Well, this is always like a long answer. This is never a nice short answer. Do you have a nice short answer do you want to start with, Monika, before I orate for 5 minutes?
Sure. I usually say I send them energetically, like an "I love you" or like "I forgive you." I actually do more of like "I forgive you," like as in your soul. And then that helps me kind of like just change my perception about them, and then that helps to bring in the love for them, and it's just about seeing them who they are versus the toxicity that they bring in or the pain that they bring to you. So it's like just detaching yourself from what they're saying to you and just really seeing them as yourself.
Yep. Beautiful. I love that. That's a nice, quick answer. Every one of us is a being of light, and we have come here. When we were first born, our being of light version of ourselves, which is the true version of ourselves, wanted to love, be loved, and to explore this paradise planet. And then something happened where they were abused or they had traumatic experiences. And so all of a sudden, everything kind of changed for them. And so now they went, wait, this isn't all about just being loved and loving and exploring. This is about surviving, because this is a treacherous and difficult world. So I have to do whatever I can to make myself safe. And we have all this pre-programming that tells us how to do that. And many cases, we believe that when we do terrible things to others in this weird, screwed up way, it actually makes us feel better, or it helps us resolve our own suffering or whatever. So these folks who are inflicting pain and are generally toxic are suffering probably worse than you are, or that I am, or that Monika is, or that most people are. They're the ones that are truly suffering. So they're the ones that are truly needing the love, the most love. But obviously, if they're so toxic and they're inflicting pain, you can't go up to them and say, I love you unconditionally anyway, dude, or whatever, because they're not going to take that very well. They're going to get all upset or weirded out, or because unconditional love for others does not require reciprocation. You do not have to write a letter to them declaring your unconditional love. You don't have to give them roses. You don't have to do anything. You can just have that. So that's what's nice about all of this, is that you are not giving them a reward for having bad behavior, because that might be what you're thinking. I can't love them because they don't deserve it. Right. And that's because we train our dogs to give them a treat when they poop outside, and we maybe put their nose in it if they poop inside. Right. So we think that other people have to be taught in that way, but you're not in teaching mode in this case. You're in loving mode. And so you can love the being of light that they truly are deep inside, even though they're struggling and suffering and causing pain and suffering and struggling for others. How about that?
Boom, you did it.
Boom. Mic drop. We're out of here.
It wasn't 5 minutes totally, but
no,
it was pretty good.
I think you kind of helped because you gave me a couple of little strings that I was able to go with. Like, okay, I could take that angle. Because otherwise I'd have talked about soul contracts and all this other stuff. Like, okay.
And then also, like, when you send them that loving energy, they will subconsciously get it, and it'll help them maybe in the long run with like shortening their pain or shortening their toxicity to the world. Maybe they'll get, a wake-up call, sooner rather than later, because they met you that was more grounded and more settled, and you had more unconditional love within you, and maybe your unconditional love to yourself is triggering them, and it's causing them pain because they don't feel that. So I feel like the more you're just authentic with yourself, it'll help someone else try to be more authentic with themselves, in the long run.
Yep. Yeah. It's amazing how many people that I've worked with that have come to me and said, like, oh, my father treats me like crap, or my boyfriend or my girlfriend or whatever. And so we work on them. Of course, we don't work on the father or the boyfriend or the girlfriend. We're not bringing them into the session. We're only working on the person who's receiving the abuse. And then we get them to the point where they're kind of forgiving them more inside, even just inside their own heads. They don't go to their father and say, I forgive you for being a jerk, right? Yeah. You forgive them inside. And then what amazingly happens is they contact me later and they go, it was so weird. As soon as I, interacted with my dad again, it was completely different. It was as though he had changed when actually it was me that had changed. So it is kind of amazing how that works.
I think that's why I really gravitated towards self-healing, is because I was just so curious to what else could I release, or what else that was stuck within me, or things that I didn't even know that I had issues with. One of the things I really bonded with is one of my friends. She does really powerful Reiki sessions, and she was the first one to like actually tap into some of my past lives, and just understanding some of those, how they have made me the person that I am now. just really just pulls in that full circle mode of like, okay, this doesn't really have to bother me so much. Or I understand why I had this huge ankle injury because one of my past lives was being paralyzed with both of my legs. So it's like things that I'm still having to forgive, having to love unconditionally is still coming up in this lifetime that I've have to heal from the past lives. So it's definitely interesting that, the more you work on yourself, the more you'll be able to love yourself unconditionally.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and so like what are the things that you can change? You can't change others. You can't make them treat you differently. They're always going to do it their way. The only thing that you can change is the way that you respond to it. And like
Mhm.
I've said before, if somebody is giving you trouble, grief, abuse, whatever, and really any negative situation that you have in your entire life is your greatest teacher. It is an opportunity for you to grow in an incredible way. So rather than look at that bad thing, that abuser, that horrible situation as, why did this have to happen to me? Well, I don't deserve this. What the hell's wrong with me? To be able to say, hey, this is an amazing opportunity for me to reinvent myself. I can reinvent myself right now, and I could take this situation and smile inwardly at how challenging it is or how difficult this other person is, and then you start to observe yourself rather than be yourself. You can start to say, oh, look at me. I am having this emotional response, this emotional reaction to this person. I am getting upset. I am getting angry. What other emotions am I feeling? Oh, I'm feeling betrayed. Oh, wow. That's an interesting emotional experience. What else am I experiencing? Oh, like an impatience, like, oh, I have an urgency to get out of here. And the more that you can start to like tack up, pile on, list out all these different responses that you're having, the more that you get to know that person that you think that you are. And then you can decide which of those things you really want to participate in and which ones you might go, well, I guess I don't need to urgently get out of this space right now. Maybe I could stay and remain in it because it will bring me some great growth. So I'm going to be open to that. And the next thing you know, you calm yourself down. And then this person who used to make you so mad, you actually are smiling at because they're still their goofy, weird ways trying to manipulate you or whatever their situation is. But because you love yourself unconditionally and you know that you're just fine, that you're doing the best that you can, there's no reason for you to beat yourself up over this person who's abusing you or being a dick. You can finally go, oh, okay, so it's them, actually. It's not me.
Mhm. Yeah.
And let's
Well,
just observe them.
yeah. Well, I mean, you don't have to say it's them, it's not me, but you
Well,
can.
that was I know what you're saying. And that was the angle about the unconditional love, because a lot of times we get into self-blame. And
Mm,
it's like, okay, I'm the one who deserves this punishment. So
mm,
that little comment was, it's not you that deserves this. It's them doing their primitive programming. They're
mm.
trying to manipulate you. They're trying to survive. They're trying to do the right thing for themselves, and they think that by abusing you, they're doing that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that ties better because you don't want to leave it off. It's them,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
me.
right, right, right. But yeah, because the opportunity is actually it is you, and if you make those changes in yourself, then amazing things will happen.
Well, it's also the whole mirror concept. It's like you still need to work on yourself because you in this other form is still reacting to yourself this way. So that's also an indication of if you need some more self-healing or still things that you need to work on is the environment around you, you know, loving, or is there still different scenarios that keep coming up in like a repetitive cycle?
Yeah.
I always say that your parents are your greatest teachers, because it's true. Like,
Oh yeah.
I think Buddha even said, like, if you can live with your parents and be okay, then, you're enlightened. So
That's awesome.
whenever
I've
whenever
not heard that quote,
you
but I
never heard
love
that one? Yeah,
it.
no. Whenever I go back to go visit, I'm like, How am I doing?"
Right. That's awesome. That's a great point. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because they usually drive you crazy, don't they? That's funny.
Mhm.
I love
They
it.
always have something that you can learn from again and again and again.
Right. Enlightenment equals living with your parents. That's great. I'm gonna
Being
have to
okay
change.
living with
I've got a lot of material that I have to go through and change about what enlightenment is. I got to get to work right now on this.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah,
Interesting.
see, Anna agrees. She's like, that's a tough one, living with the parents, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
it's awesome. Well, it has actually been 1 hour.
That was a quick hour.
It was really quick. It felt super quick.
Mhm.
But maybe because I didn't sleep very well, I was like extra energized. I was extra wide awake and goofy.
Talkative.
Yeah,
Maybe that's good. Maybe you should sleep less before these, so that way you're more playful.
right. Yeah,
See,
okay. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna not sleep much.
just do a all-nighter before our show.
Great. Yes. Well, anybody in 1 hour, I'm going to be doing the free workshop for negative entities that you can find. I've got a link in the description, so you can check that out and see me again for an hour of jabbering at you. And
Mhm.
otherwise, we'll see you next week, won't we?
Yes, see you all next week. Thank you for joining in.
We're gonna do the
Oh,
prayer hands as our goodbye. Yes, yes.
well,
Goodbye,
I'll
everyone.
do you can do the prayer hands.
You know, you do there's like this. What is this called? The finger. There's a word for it.
Spirit fingers? It's not spirit
Spirit
fingers.
hands. Spirit
Spirit
hands.
hands?
Yeah. Okay.
People say spirit fingers.
Really? Okay.
Okay, bye
They would know
everyone.
better than me. Okay, I'm gonna hang up. Hang up. This is like the phone call. Okay.